There we go. Ellie, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. We'll get it on and popping in a few minutes. In the background, you're listening to one of the beats from my soon-to-be released album. Yeah, album number 5 coming up. Get a little raunchy on this one. Yeah. If you haven't had an opportunity to check out any of my music, make sure you go to your favorite music streaming platform and check out Severe Aline. 5 albums, about 22 single releases, working on album number 5. Yeah. Freight Bomber One, how you doing, man? What's going on? What's happening? What's popping? Again, in the background, you're listening to one of the beats to my soon-to-be released song, soon-to-be released album. Yeah, Gods in a Man's World. Make sure you check it out. If you haven't heard any of my music, make sure you go to your favorite music streaming platform and enter Sabir Alim. Working on album number 5. Yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about all my albums, man. You know, when I'm working on them. And for those of you who don't know, right, I enjoy music. Been around music for many years, since about 1980, 81. And even before that, when I DJ'd. I did the club thing, a DJ at the club for about 2 years. Anybody from Philly knows about Stafford's, O'Larian, second floor. First floor was Playboy Disco. Yeah. They had their squad downstairs. Upstairs, Penthouse Disco. We lit that thing up. Yeah. Lit it up. Then I did some sound mixing, stage lighting and sound, public relations and promotion, Sweetwater Productions. Yeah. So any of you from Philly, you'll know about Sweetwater Productions. You'll know about Stafford's. Yeah. Did the basement parties back in the 70s. Did the club thing in the 80s. I'm tired. So I decided finally one day back in 2021 that I was going to do my first release. Yeah. I read a poem to my brother. And he said, damn, bro, that sounds like a song. And it was on and popping ever since. So this is album number 5. It's going to be coming up. Make sure y'all check it out. Right? You can go to YouTube. If you don't have a subscription to a music platform, you can find my music on YouTube. You can go right now and find it. Yeah, Jody Valentine. What's up, cousin? Yeah, so just make sure you go check it out. It's a lot of music to listen to. You know, I do a lot of social issues. You know, a lot of social issues, man. This upcoming album is going to focus a lot on today's society, the changes that have been made, why the changes have happened, and where responsibility and accountability belong. Yeah. I was part of that life in the streets for a good many years. Made a decision one day that was just it. I was tired of ducking and dodging, sticker boys, police, getting high, the whole scene. I just got tired of it one day, man, and I told dude I was with that night. I said, "Yo, listen, man, I'm not coming back." He thought I meant that night. Nah, I was tired of the whole set, man. Never look back. It's been let's see, April 17th, 1994, man. That was it. I ain't turned back. I ain't went back to none of that set. Nothing had to do with any of that set at all, man. You know, made some changes, got around some new people, started doing some new things, and got a lot of projects going on right now. AlimForYou.net. If you haven't been there, make sure you go to AlimForYou.net. It's a lot of merchandise there. We can customize merchandise, everything, man, from buttons to tumblers to bags. I just worked on some men's slippers tonight. They'll be posted on the site. Matter of fact, four pairs of those slippers are on sale right now. If you're into the whole line dancing scene, you do the line dancing, you get into the clap fans, I got them. Right now, I think I have like 42 clap fans that you can find right now at AlimForYou.net. The hoodie dresses that go with the boots, They put the boots on, they get the clack fans, they get the clacking, man, and having a great and wonderful time. Uh, Starting to do some kids clothing, but a whole lot of things, man. Got umbrellas. Where I'm at right now, I'm in the studio. I have a studio inside of our store. So we have a retail store in the house, no customers. We do pickups, but we do pop up shops. We got the online stores going on right now, Etsy, uh, Spotify, I mean Shopify. We're right now working on finalizing some stuff with TikTok and Amazon. So we have a whole lot of merchandise, man, that you're soon going to be able to find, on AleemForYou.net. Go to AleemForYou.net. Start getting your stuff early, man. Listen to what I'm saying to you. I want y'all to really hear me out here. Everything that you see on our site, go compare the product. If somebody is selling boots and we have a similar product, compare and then look at their prices. Right? Most of our profit margins are anywhere between 5 to 15%. 5 to 15%. You'll find the same product that somebody else is selling. They're getting about 100%, 150%. Nah, we're not doing that at Aleem for You. We don't do that, right? Because I'm not looking to get rich overnight, right? I want customers who are going to be around for their lifetime, pass it on generation to generation to generation. This is a family-owned business. Aleem is a family name that includes others. But this is not for me. This is for my family. This is something that I'm leaving for them. Same way with the music. My music I may not never see my music come to fruition in the area of becoming a well-known or even known artist. But there's some people, there's some followers that I've gathered over the past couple of years. It's a real vast audience. It's a lot of competition, so called. Because I'm not in competition with anyone. My music is original. I don't go after anybody. I don't sound like anybody. None of that. Same way with Aleem for You. None of our merchandise looks like anything that you have ever seen. None of our stuff is AI generated. All of our stuff is masterfully put together. I sit here and I can look at a stone wall and convert that entire wall into a work of art. Imagination. All imagination. You'll buy a tumbler from us, and people will be more interested in the design other than what it is that you're drinking in that tumbler. Other than that, they're centerpieces, man. They're conversation pieces. Our clothing. You look at our women's dresses and the other merchandise. You will be a center of attention. Guaranteed. People will ask you, where did you get that from? And you'll tell them, AleemForYou.net. Check out your merchandise. Vicky, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. T Baby Lashes, thank you for tuning in. User 11621863318. Thank you for tuning in. You've tuned in to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aleem. If you have never seen any of the shows, go to my Sabir Aleem educational station on YouTube, and you will find over 500 videos. I'm not just some dude who just woke up one day and said, I'm going to start doing a podcast. I'm going to start doing none of that. A 30-year retired clinician, substance abuse, serious and persistent mental illness. I can have a conversation with you all day long about all of those things. If you really want to see change in your life, it begins with you. It doesn't begin with who it is that you have in your life. Well, you want to start getting some of those people out and gravitating towards more who are in alignment with where you're trying to go. But listen, 30 years. I just retired last year. Worked in prisons, community-based corrections. Primarily, my career has been in corrections. Yeah. primarily. Been in corrections 30 years. So I'm no spring chicken. I'm not just some fly by night dude who's gonna be here. I've been here on YouTube because right now this show is on my YouTube station and it's also on TikTok Live. Sometimes you'll find me on other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, but my primary house has always been on YouTube. I just joined into doing live on TikTok over the last, I guess, couple years, about 2 years now. I've been on TikTok. Um, so if you're looking to do something different with your life, this is the place to be. If you're struggling in some areas, we're all struggling somewhere. I can't tell you I'm going to have the answers, but I can give you some information that can guide you towards self discovery and you begin to look at life through a different lens. So, welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. Excuse me. Yeah, I was out with the family, man. Took the little one out driving her car. Well, she drives some of the time, and we use the remote the other times. But mosquitoes were killing me out there, man. I look like a relief map, all from my knees all the way down, man. Just tearing me up. If you're O positive, man, you know mosquitoes love O positive blood, right? They just love it. If you don't believe me, look it up. And if you find yourself getting bitten up a lot, and you know why, it's your blood type. Other than the fact that those mosquitoes out there are treacherous, they're villains, they're vicious. O positive, man, they will destroy you every moment they can. It's like they smell you in the air. They just go after you. But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight, right? We're here to talk about social media. You know, we had a couple of mothers out there, and I'm not just about women. This dude came out there too. There was a couple of women sitting out there, and we were having the little one ride her car around, and I was sitting there watching the two ladies in the playground area with two little boys. And little boys are just being boys, playing and having fun and all that. And both of the women were sitting there like this, phone in hand. Every now and then they look up, hey, stop it. No, get down. Don't do that. They're going back to their phones. Then dude came over there as we were getting ready to leave. He came with his little girl and he had the phone in hand. He was talking and he was thumbing through all at the same time. It's interesting to see how many families have been further splintered because of the social media thing, man. Like, and you really have to begin to understand the impact, the negative impact social media is having upon every bit of you, psychologically, spiritually, physically, because people are spending so much time like this now that as they age, especially when you get to my age, right, they begin to have that little hump in their neck, right? They begin to have back issues. I just turned 65 September the 29th, right? And several months back, I went to the doctor for my annual, and he was telling me how no issues, no medications. I do have an issue with my knees, but that's for all those years of playing basketball on those concrete surfaces. We didn't have blacktop in the 60s and 70s. I don't think blacktop really start coming out to a lot of courts until in the 80s when they began to see and have an understanding of what was actually happening. Every time you jump up and come down and you bring all that weight down on your knees, your hips, all those things get affected, man. So, you got to be conscious of those kind of things. But I'm on social media because of what I do. Social media is not my life. I don't spend my life reading. I don't spend my life with the messengers and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that because what I've found through my experience is that you come away from social media in the hour's time and you experience so many different emotions, and it's intentional. It's intentional. One minute you're laughing, and next minute you're crying, and next minute you're angry because of things that are in your feed. Let's be real. You're not really interested in these people. There's something about the content that gets you going. I don't like drama. I don't do the theatrics of. I don't do any of those things, and I'm not bashing anybody who does do those things. What I'm simply saying to you is that you have to really begin to take a look at the impact, the negative impact that social media is having. You know it. You come away from there sometimes thinking, mm, I just want to do some things to some people because, and it's not always you want to like harm somebody physically or anything like that, but you begin to form an opinion about people, right? Everybody's life is there for you, but how much of it is legitimate? How much of it is real? How many recording artists do we know of that don't really act like what they act like on stage in the street? How many rappers have we heard of throughout the years that were never thugs, gangsters, never sold a bit of weed, right? But they get up on stage and they portray all these images. It's intentional. The music, the music, man. It's like you have some people that don't understand the difference between a noun and a verb. You have some people who can't even put together a whole damn sentence. You have some people who you can't even understand what the hell they're saying. But it's a air, it's a culture that has been established where people are constantly on their phones. Why? We didn't have cell phones when I was a kid. We stayed outside. We go out the house 9 o'clock in the morning, right? Only thing we were told is when them street lights come on, you need to be in the house. You need to be in the house. Plain and simple. You can tell where all the kids were. Just look for the bikes. All the bikes would be at Miss Mary's house because the kids always gravitated towards Miss Mary. She stayed on that behind. We didn't have a problem with the neighbors saying something to us about our bad behavior. We didn't turn around and cuss them out. We didn't turn around and pull guns on them. We were mindful. Boy, don't you see Miss Mary carrying them back? Get your behind up off that step and go help her carry them back. That's the error that I came up in, right? And people keep wanting to blame everything around them for why it changed. There was a point in time where, every Sunday we went to grandmom's house for dinner. And all the family was there. Grandmom, grandpa, my uncles, aunts, they were there. We were there. We sat and we ate dinner together. We broke bread together. We laughed and joked and we caught up at the table until it was time to eat. Then everybody shut up. All you heard was, hey, pass me that bowl. That's all you heard. And after dinner was over, everybody assisted. There was assistance going on as people were cleaning their plates. Somebody was in the kitchen helping grandma. We changed that on our own. When I was living up in Philly, I had established with my children, dinner, scheduled dinners to come over and we sit down and break bread together and laugh and joke and learn some more things about one another. I'm in Florida now, so I don't have that convenience to be able to do that. But they come down on Thanksgiving. My children come down on Thanksgiving. They come down at least once a year, sometimes twice, and hang out with the old guy. Get a chance to, catch up on things and, sit down and laugh and joke and cry about different little things. Now I got a 3-year-old. Well, I didn't have her at 3. You read some stuff and people like become adults at certain, they just appear. Oh, he was 99 years old. He died at 200 and stuff like that. You hear about those kind of things. But, I have a 3-year-old now. She's 3. She'll be 4 soon. And right, I'm excited, man, because it's a lot of things that I missed because I was in a different lifestyle, a different mindset. I was in a different condition. That condition still exists. mind you. I just make better decisions today. I just don't rely upon, those old ways of doing and old ways of thinking in that capacity. What social media has like run through communities. People don't even talk to one another anymore. They send text messages, and some of the text messages, sound like the mumble rap stuff that they got out. You don't understand what the hell they talk about. What's all this? My 3-year-old started talking about some 6, 7. Hey, 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 hey. You won't be having that conversation. You don't talk about no 6, 7. You don't even know what 6, 7 is. And most of the people who use 6, 7 don't know where it came from. They just began to use it because somebody around them started using it and they started using it. So it's like yo in Philly. Yo in Philly means a whole lot of things. Yo in New York means a whole lot of different. It's just we start picking up things, and I'm not going to allow her to just pick up things and just start using them. I always had conversation with my daughters about how they dress, why they dress that way. You don't come home from the store, with stuff and take it up into your room and then put it on. No, I want to see what you got in that bag. And I hope you got the receipts. I still am that way. Nothing changed about that. Nothing changed about that. So I was inflicted with some other stuff until I started looking at life and how I really wanted to see myself in life. I wasn't the person who had posters up of different recording artists and this, that. I didn't do that. I've always been original. I've always, in some capacity, held on to the old information that was being given to me that I was rejecting, and now I embrace it. See, it's a difference between becoming an adult and maturing. There's a big difference there. But now it's hard to tell who's who's really what, because a lot of people don't even know how to have a conversation anymore without some content of racism, some content of dissension, always complaining, find themselves in situations where they don't understand how they got there, but they're there and don't do anything to change. That's one of the greatest detriments to a human being. The most intelligent on this planet, and we're like the most foolish ones. We know right from wrong, but something about wrong is attractive. You know it's wrong. You make it right. But when you're in your feed and you're scrolling through and you see all of the shenanigans going on, why do you keep going back to it? Why do you keep going back to it? There's no prudence. You just blatantly talk about people, put people out there, and think that, well, these people don't know who I'm talking about. But somebody knows somebody, and then there's people like me who know a whole lot of people in Philly. And I always mind my business. But I know a lot of people because I was always involved in some capacity in community. It's changed so much that it's no longer a neighborhood, it's a hood. We fed into all that stuff. You sit down and you form opinions about law enforcement and how, that blacks are the most ill treated. But you don't take the time to look at statistics because statistics will tell you otherwise. Now, how accurate they are, nobody knows. I didn't hold the count of how many murders took place in the city. I only see what's on TV. But it's by design. Before I moved here in Florida to Riviera Beach, I looked at the makeup. And to me, it was looking like Philly. And I came here and it's nothing like Philly. All the things that they talk about, high crime, this, that, the other, what they don't tell you is the type of crime. Most of them are property crimes. It's not rapes and murders, property crime. Somebody breaking into your house, somebody breaking into your car, things like that. But they make it they sensationalize it because it's the big story. But you form opinions of other people, of other people's lives, and you're so consumed and so overwhelmed, then you don't even see the part where you're overwhelmed. You don't see the overwhelming part. You just shake your head and be like, damn. Same thing that happened with race. It's intentional, right? So tonight I want to just go into uh, Psychology Today. That's my favorite site to go to. If you really want to learn about self, you got to go to sites, credible sites. And Psychology Today has been around for a long time. I used to read the magazine years ago. You see all these different things about the brain. And as a clinician, I really need to have an in depth understanding beyond academics about human behavior, right? You have these people who, follow these different religions and this, that, and the other, and they still don't know about their self. They still don't know about their self. So the article is titled, How Not to Be Psychologically Destroyed by Your Newsfeed. And the article is by Ann Douglas, right? And it says there's a difference between being informed and overwhelmed. So when you look through your feed, what are you looking for? That's the question. What are you looking for? I told you Daddy's Right Here has been on my Severely Educational YouTube station since 2007. I don't have a million gazillion followers. Anytime I did community events, we didn't have, hundreds of people showing up. Unless there was a recording artist or somebody there who was famous, people would come there. They would see the artist and then they would leave. They're not interested. A lot of people are not interested in change. This is not about anything other than you having peace in your life. You being able to sit down and be good with all the chaos going on around you. This is about you being able to interact with other people in a respectful way, being accountable for your behavior, for your conduct, for what it is you say and what it is you do. Because you represent you. I represent my mother. First and foremost. First and foremost. She took care of me. She groomed and shaped my thinking and my behavior. And of course, behaviorally it was different back then. Now, your own child can call the authorities on you, and if there's a mark on you, they can take the child from you. But they don't do anything to help the child. None of them. None of them. They don't help. They just take the child away, and for them, that's the solution to the problem. Or they want to send you to parenting class. What can parenting class really teach you? What the question is. Well, it depends on where you go. When I did parenting classes, I do parenting classes from a whole different perspective. Because you have to deal with the trauma, the unresolved, the baggage that the person carries from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next. You have to be interested in self. How interested in self are you when you constantly thumb through your feeds, your social media feeds? Sure, you can change the algorithm. You can. But what are you looking for? What are you looking for when you're in these feeds? I use it for business. Sure, there's some personal interaction there. There's some personal engagement there. My life is personal. So you don't see everything about my life. I go on vacations, you won't even know I'm on vacation. It's none of your business. That information falls upon the wrong ears, the wrong eyesight, and next thing you know, you're coming back to an empty house and you wonder why. Because you're taking pictures. You're 1,000 miles away. How soon can you get there to keep your home from being ransacked and raided? How soon? You keep having difficulties in relationships. How many relationships do you have to see that there really are no benefit in these relationships? Why do you have all these friends? 600 and something Facebook friends. You're hungry. Post on there that you want to eat, that your family is struggling, and see how much help you really get. But you'll contribute to something that you want to stand on because something happened, an incident happened. GoFundMe. Criminals go to GoFundMe now to get money to pay for attorneys. They're wrong as hell. But because you are convinced that this person is innocent or even guilty, but you want to feed this because you want to stand on an agenda that's not yours. It's not even your agenda. It's drama. It's AI driven. It's politically driven. It's driven by those who have an agenda to continue the divide, to continue to put and wreak havoc upon the community. We're just conversation. Yeah. They sit there and laugh and, oh yeah, look at this. Look. Right? I have a song that's coming out. I think the album should be ready by mid to late November. But in the song, the name of the song is called Blocks. And in the song, it talks about blocks. And these are blocks, things that are preventing us all from forward progress, especially the black community. Especially the black community. We have this term now that we use, black fatigue. I've been tired of it. After the first time my house got broken into back in the 70s. And then it happened again. And then it happened again. 4 times my house was broken into. Right? 4 times. A single mother raising her children. A single mother. And you would break into that home. Take the stereo. Take the TV. And any other valuables. And then no sooner than it was all back in the home again, you come back again. And it was just a cycle. All these people look like me. They all look like me. So when you're looking at social media, what do you see? What do you see? Police brutality, right? But you only see a clip. You see just enough. You don't see what preceded the incident, what proceeded the incident. All you know is, damn, they killed Mike. That's all you see. It's intentional. People don't want you to know what happened before that. People don't want you to know the outcome. But people keep asking for the outcome. We want to see the tapes. Now you see more police officers who are giving information and trying to help and tell you, to help you understand. When you act like this, we're law enforcement. We're going to act like that. They have the power and authority to do it. Yeah. I haven't had a physical confrontation with anyone since 1977. Do I get riled up when I get stopped? I used to. I didn't get stopped that often. I came up in Wilson Park Project in South Philly in the 60s and 70s. Anybody from Philly knows what it was like then. Cops would just roll up on us drunk, in marked vehicles, drunk, high, walked around, harassing us. But I can count on one hand how many times I've been stopped. I can tell you in one hand. Right? But that's not what social media is going to show you. Social media is not going to show you the right things. And then it's always the one or two that pop up every now and then that shows you an interaction where somebody stood on some real stuff. They stood on some real stuff. You know what I mean? But how do you feel when you leave out of the house? When you see law enforcement? When I first moved to Riviera Beach, I had came across one of the Riviera Beach police officers, and I said, "Let me ask you a question." I used to watch cops a lot, and then Riviera Beach police were always seemed to be one of uh, the areas where the show was shot at, and no pun intended. And I said, "Y'all really like that?" And and the thing about it was he was acting just like what I've seen on TV. He said, "Nah." I was like, "For real?" I said, "Because every time I see, it's always like y'all real professionals, that and the other." I've been here almost 9 years in Riviera Beach. They've had to come here because of my daughter, at least 4 times, and each time they came right. They were always respectful, always professional, always willing to help. Talk to her about her conduct. Talk to her about what her parents are giving her and this, that, and the other, and tell her about all the kids and what they don't get and all these kind of things. They were telling her all these things. Not one time has any one of these officers been out of pocket, been disrespectful. I've never had an interaction like that with law enforcement. Never. I live in Florida now. I was pulled over on the phone, right? I pulled my car over. I was on the phone. Didn't even see the cop pulled up behind me. One of the sheriffs pulled up behind me, got out, walked up, stood a little distance from the car, said, "Hey, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." I said, I just pulled over to make a phone call. And this happened when I was in Yaten too. Cop pulled over. It was pouring down rain. I pulled over because I was on the phone, right? And he said, "Be careful out there." And he kept on going. Same thing this cop said here in Florida, right? "Hey, you okay?" He said, "Because you're just sitting here, and I saw you sitting there. I was wondering if you were okay." I said, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I just making the call." He said, "Okay, well, you have a good day." I said, "You too." I said, Listen, thanks for stopping. Thanks for stopping." Now, if I sat down and I was looking at social media, guaranteed I'm going to see something in my feed about a negative interaction between a black male and law enforcement. I'm going to see it, right? I watch the feed and I go jump into my car. What are you feeling in that moment when you encounter law enforcement? What are you feeling in the moment when you see law enforcement that got somebody pulled over, that got somebody up against the wall, sitting on the ground? What's going through your mind? It's by design, people. This is somebody else's agenda. This is somebody else's agenda. To the article. Key points from this article. I want you to understand this. See, reading is important. It's important. It's the most important thing that you can do in your life. The books that you find in libraries, you're not going to find that same content in your feed. I learned a long time ago, and I heard this said, if it's anything that people want you to know, they put it in a book. How many times have you been to the library, especially since you've been out of school? I told you I'm a 30-year clinician, right? Substance abuse, severe, serious and persistent mental illness. I still have my books. I still read my books. I can tell you how many people come into the field of behavioral health. Wanting to help is a great and wonderful thing. But if you are not saturating yourself with the content that's necessary for you to be able to guide people in a direction of change, because I'm not there to tell you what is wrong with you, because nothing is wrong with you. But I want you to learn on your own. I want you to come to discover yourself. If this is what you desire and this is what you are doing, Dr. Phil says, tell me how that's working for you. Just tell me how that's working for you. Right? So the article, key points. Give yourself permission to take regular breaks from the news. I don't watch the news every morning like I used to. And I don't justify it by saying, oh, I want to see the scores from last night's game. I want to get a glimpse of, the fight. I just want to see the weather. You can just click on the weather station, your phone, weather. I usually get the 10 day forecast to look at, see what the weather's going to be like. But I used to get up and I used to watch the news every morning, click the TV on, watch the news. The only thing that you ever see in the news that's worth watching is that special interest story. The things we do every day. Dad took their children to school today. Parents, today was the day to take their kids to those are special interest stories. Just just think for a minute, if the news changed and everything that they had on the news was positive, that special interest story was not just one, that the whole news was about community living, about change, about productivity, progress. Just think for a minute. Why do I need to look at my feed and see another murder? I already know people murder people. Cain murdered Abel. First murder of humanity. If you're a believer. Adam and Eve. How did two people get expelled from a place of peace and serenity? Get sent down here. Get ye down from here. Because you can't stay here. And you think humanity is going to be any different. They violated God's rule, God's law. Humanity sprung forth from where? So they were already wrong. They were already tainted with sin. Why did we think humanity was going to be any different? The other point, aim for a balanced media diet, right? Don't just focus on the bad news. Seek out the good news too. How much good news and how much bad news do you see in your feed? Think about it. How much good news do you see in your feed when you're looking at social media? All right, well, John's birthday. Okay. Cousin I haven't seen since February. They got married. Right? You'll see those kind of things here and there. But if you do a balance of what good and what bad is in your media feed, how do you think that's going to affect you? How has it affected you? Do you know how it affected you? Carolyn Bellamy, A.B. Britton, The Educator, what's going on, man? John Travis, Harvey Russell too. What's happening? Thanks for tuning in. But when you look at these things, you have to ask yourself these questions. Why am I constantly on social media? Right? Where's the balance for me? How much time do I waste? How much of my life do I waste in social media? How many phone calls have you made this week? How many homes have you visited this week? Think about it. It's a modern day convenience of chaos. Because if you work a 9 to 5, you come home, you sit down, what's the first thing you do when you come home? Go on social media, even while you're eating dinner with your family. Right? You go to bed, somebody's on the phone. Right? Social media. You don't get to know people. You don't get to know what's really going on. Hell, you're not even saturating yourself with the information of your craft. Your craft is your chosen job. Some not chosen. But you should want to be proficient in those areas. But that's not important. Social media. is important. The other point, make sure you're giving your body what it needs to function at its best. Well, sleep. If you're on your phone until you fall asleep late at night, when do you actually fall to sleep? When do you actually get into what they call REM sleep, the rapid eye movement? That's when you're in your deepest sleep. How much sleep do you really get? The lights are still on with your eyes closed. The lights are still on. Your brain is still functioning off of the hours that you have spent on social media. I told you about the neck formation. What begins to happen when you sit like this all the time? You get up and you got to do more of this. Well, when you're getting restful sleep, you don't get all of that. You don't get all the stiff neck and stuff like that unless you got your pillow improperly propped. But most of that discomfort comes from the position that you're constantly sitting in. And that's one of the things my doctor told me at my last visit, my annual visit. How many of you go for annual visits? I am in near perfect health. I take medication for my anxiety and depression. I've been taking more of my herbs now, but I'm not a fool. Sometimes you have to take medication. But I don't have no diabetic issues. I don't have high cholesterol. I've even got my blood pressure under control where I don't have to take medication anymore because I just remove things out of my life. Every time I see something that's happening in my life that's causing me that's taking away my peace, it's got to go. And I don't drag it out. You got to go. My circle of friends, one hand, and they the full hand. Everybody has their own agenda, but some people just have too much stuff. But some of y'all like a lot of stuff because it allows you to divert from what you should be addressing within yourself. See, we had all the time in the world before these cell phones. We had all the time in the world to sit on a step and just watch the sun go down, to watch everybody start coming out and sitting on the steps. Hold on, I don't. TikTok does this whole thing with that you want to slide the picture over and stuff to make sure you're on there, right? Clee from G Bay, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Carolyn Bellamy, thanks for tuning in. How you doing, Carolyn? So these things are put in place for a reason. It's your responsibility to take a look at what's happening with you and why you keep diverting from you. Because that's all you're doing. How many hours are you really on? If you look at your phone minutes, it'll tell you. It'll give you a breakdown on what you use your phone for, how many hours you were actually on the phone. It's nothing but chaos. Nothing but chaos. There's nothing good about being on indulging on in anything for hours like that, unless it's just sitting peacefully. And sometimes people do that and avoid themselves. So it's always about a balance. The last point about this article, remind yourself that feelings come and feelings go, and that you are not your feelings. You are not your feelings, right? So let's dip a little more. Let's dip into this, right? From the article. The past few days have been particularly challenging in terms of what has been coming across my newsfeed. And the past few years haven't exactly been a picnic either. This has got me thinking once again about the psychological toll of being forced to process a steady stream of really bad news. What follows is a list of strategies I am currently using to prevent myself from feeling overwhelmed. Now, this is the author of this article saying this. The author herself is saying this. So it ain't just me. It ain't just her. This is a research that she has done in order to come up with these strategies. She's done research, personal and professional, and probably academic. So here's the first thing. Here's the first strategy. Recognize that there's a difference between being informed and being overwhelmed. What are you being informed about? This is the part here that shapes your views, your worldview. Because it's not just in America that this information is coming from. It's coming from all around the world, right? Of course, you want to continue to be aware of what's happening in the world, right? And I don't agree with that part. I don't care what's happening in the world. I really don't. I'm not stupid, right? But it's a matter of, if I didn't know those things, would my life be different? If I didn't know what was going on with Palestine and Israel, with the Middle East, with the Gaza Strip and all those kind of things, what's happening, in Africa and all those places, what changes have happened in my life as a result of those things? Sure, there's some level of impact, economic, political. There's always some level of impact. But does that change the fact that I have to continue to live my life in spite of those things? Regardless of what changes, I still have to become a better person today than I was yesterday. Tomorrow is not here. Why am I worrying about tomorrow? Why am I worrying about something that's happening in another part of the world? Why? Now, if there's a hurricane coming, right? Sure, I want to know about that. If I'm in Florida, I want to know where it is. I want to know where it's heading. I want to know what it is that I need to do. That's information. And that can be overwhelming if you sit down and you just keep watching. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And you don't went and bought every survival tool that you can possibly buy to have in your house. You should be having those things along the way. You know this is where you are. You know this is what happens. You know the potential for these kind of things. That's information that's important. It's important to have an understanding, to be informed of politics, an in-depth understanding, because you need to know what this person does in office. And you know what that person does in office, then you see what their role is. Then you can really be able to see that they're not fulfilling their role. But we form personal relationships, right? Not face to face. We form personal relationships from social media. Oh, I don't like so and so. I don't. He doesn't this and he doesn't that. We go through all these theatrics about Donald Trump being in office, President Donald Trump being in office. I give him the respect. He earned that respect. He's president of the United States. Agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. It's things I don't agree with from my mother. I'd hate to have to be in his position to make all these decisions for all these people who are never satisfied with anything, who want him to do this and want him to do that. But at the end of the day, I still have to take care of me. I still have to take care of me. I still have to be responsible for how I conduct myself. I still have to be responsible for my health, my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health. I'm still responsible for those things no matter what goes on in the world. I still have to take care of my family. If the eggs cost more, they cost more. My family eats eggs, we're buying eggs. Gas goes up, I'm buying gas. They know that. But yet we sit back and we become overwhelmed with all of these changes, with all of these costs. But at the end of the day, you still have the same set of responsibilities. You still have to take care of yourself. You still have to eat right. You still have to feed your family. You still have to go to work. You still have to pay taxes. You still have to retire like I did and get a little bit of money for all the years that you worked. Those things are still going to happen. So why overwhelm yourself with that? Why? It doesn't mean that you, back to the article, have to be plugged into your social media feeds 24/7, or that you have to react to every single breaking news alert. How many of those alerts are really alerts? Think about it. I'm doing this show right now. I can do any kind of overlay and make it look like it's actually a breaking alert. I can insert myself. I can insert another image from something else that was created. Lot of times now by social media, you don't know if it's true, but you respond to it. You react to it. You're overwhelmed again because they said this is happening. He's going to do this. She's going to do that. Oh my God, this is going to happen now. Oh no, it turned the other way. Yeah. Ron DeSantis stopped that seeding, the cloud seeding, the weather stuff that they was doing, changing the weather. He changed it. You ain't doing none of that. And if you do it in the state of Florida, you're going to prison. His change solidified the facts that they've been doing this. He told us that without telling us that. You don't live in Florida. You don't get that information. How is it Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, can put an end to cloud seeding in the state of Florida, can put an end to, you know, altering the weather? We saw hurricanes come through here that sat. I forget which one it was. Was it Irene? Sat in one place. For how long? We saw it. You know how many hurricanes we've had in Florida since then? Back to the article. Give yourself permission to take breaks from the news and aim for a balanced media diet. Don't just focus on the really bad news. Make a point of gravitating toward the good news too. Now, in order for you to make that kind of a decision to gravitate toward good news, right? You have to see the impact that it's been having on you. You getting up 5 o'clock in the morning, putting the TV on. News starts at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. You're getting dressed, and what are you listening to? What are you hearing while the news is on? Then you have to go to work. So already your mind has been clouded with all of this bad information. You already don't want to go to work. You're sick of going to work, but you go because you have to, because you're responsible. But now you're on the highway, you're on the bus, going to work, already with a clouded mind. Already with a clouded mind. You're listening to radio stations that have an agenda to push the bad news. You're looking at social media on the way on the bus, in the passenger seat of the car the whole time, on your way to work. How do you feel by the time you get to work? What are you thinking by the time you get to work? Or you're taking the kids to school? What do you feel? See, because now we're getting into the overwhelming aspect of what social media does. By the time you get to that first destination, you're angry, you're irritated, you're frustrated, you're scared. All because of what's in the feed, all because of what you heard in the news. Social media is driving that. How about picking up the phone and talking to your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your main man, your homie, your children, your parents? How about doing that? Somebody say, well, I don't want to talk to them either. You have to find a balance in that. Why don't you want to talk to them? Why are they even in your circle if you don't want to talk to that person? Why are they in your circle? Who's draining who? Have you put yourself in a position of being a caretaker and then get sick of taking care of people? Because every time you talk to them, all they have is the same drama that you find in the feed. But isn't it better to help the person that you're talking to on the phone that you have chosen to be around, to have them in your circle, than to go through social media? People you can't do a damn thing for. You can't provide any guidance or help for them. You're still not going to find that information in social media plentiful. You'll find it. You'll find some good, what do they call them? Motivating stuff, and I forget, it escapes me at the moment. But morning motivations and things like that. Some of y'all get on the prayer line, but then you've already formed an opinion about some of the people on there, right? So that ain't good either, right? Because of the block, and that's what I was talking about the song called "Blocks" that I wrote. That'll be coming out in November, right? We have all of these. Listen, 1827, the first black owned and operated newspaper started. The purpose of it starting was for blacks to have access to more information about what was happening in America, for blacks to be able to have a voice. Listen to the stations today, and you tell me what station is giving you the facts. What station is giving you the down and dirty of things that you need to know, that we must know? Tell me the station. And before you name that station, before you put that station in the comment, I want you to go back and I want you to spend a week listening to that information that they give you again. And I want you to tell me, how much have you learned about what is part of your life for real? Economically, politically, socially. You'll hear the same thing. You'll hear the same thing. Complaints, blame, no accountability, no forward progress. You won't hear those things. You won't. What you'll constantly hear is the same negative information. Then they feed you the music. Then they feed you the music. You tell me what you've learned. You tell me how much improvements you've made in your life based off of the information. The information is standardized by an agenda of a particular group of people. You can't just go in there saying what you want to. You know that. And this was before this whole cancel culture. Oh, you shouldn't say that, man. Run, don't. No, they won't shut you down. This was way before then. Every station has an agenda. You can't talk about that, man. How many people have we seen over the past 5 years lost their jobs because of things that they said? Excuse me. Think about it. They lost their jobs because they had an opinion. You don't get paid for your damn opinion. You don't get paid for your opinion. Stop believing that. There's limitations on what you say, how you say it, who you say it about. There's limitations. You're not getting real news. If you listen to a so-called Democrat driven station and you listen to a so-called Republican so-called station, I listen to Nance, JD Nance, Vice President Vance, I'm sorry. I listened to him before the election. When you listen to the content of the different sides, they're talking about two different things. They're talking about two different worlds. If you don't have an understanding of what's happening in our society today, they're learning about government. They're talking about government. And not just the things that you're seeing in your feed, that you're seeing in the news. They're having real conversations about what needs to be done, what needs to be changed. You have to begin to listen. If neither side knows anything about either side, what side are you going to live by? I'm more of a conservative, always have been. All the complaining, I don't have enough money for this, we don't have enough money for that. But how many people do you see who actually need help, right? And how many people do you see that benefit from the help and don't do anything but wasteful spending? You can't have a conversation with me about how you don't have enough food to feed your family. You don't have access to this and access to that, right? When you standing in front of me wearing a pair of Pradas, when you're standing in front of me wearing a Versace shirt, what? That doesn't make sense. When you got a 2025 car sitting out in front of your mother's house while you living in the basement, that house needs painting, that house needs repair, that house needs things, and you don't do it. You're too busy dressing yourself up, being out in the street to look good. For who? For who? So yeah, I'm a conservative. Yes, there are people who need help, legitimately need help, but how many people are bilking the system for every coin it can get and hasn't done a damn thing about changing their lives? Their spirit still in disarray. Mentally, they're not there, right? So you have to find a balance. When you find a balance in what it is that you're looking at in social media, when you begin to purge people from what it is that you're responsible to do to and for yourself, life changes. Life changes. I have over 500 videos on my Severe Lean educational station. Take one of those videos. You don't have to watch the whole thing. Take one of those videos, and I guarantee you 30 minutes into the video, you can pause the video and you can have a conversation with friends, spouse, whatever, right? Don't go to the club Friday night. Find a video on my Severe Lean educational station, invite some friends over, right? And watch the video. I guarantee you, you will come away from the video and the conversation thinking and feeling a lot differently. You might even side eye and some people be like, "Well, you really think like that?" Yeah, I do. But when we, there was no need for us to discuss it. Watch it yourself. Sharma Truth 90. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Thanks for tuning in. Who we have? That youngin 41, Edgar, Ashley, Author Doc B. Listen? How you doing? I see you doing good. You living life like it's golden. Thank you all for tuning in. So you have to look at these kinds of things. This is self-inflicted. This is self-imposed. You can't blame anybody else for your condition but you. The next strategy, try to maintain the reassuring rhythm of everyday life. Some of y'all don't have a rhythm. Some of y'all have no kind of rhythm to your life. Sally Dog, Salty Dog, 1980, what's going on? Some of you don't have any kind of rhythm. You just get up and do whatever. You don't do anything to take care of yourself. You have to take care of you first. That's the first order in the morning when you get that blessing to wake up. Yep, take your own inventory. So what it says here in the article, we humans are creatures of habit. We find comfort in the familiar. You can use this to your advantage, right? And while you're at it, don't neglect the health fundamentals, which I talked about. Make sure that you're giving your body what it needs to function at its best. Healthy food, regular physical activity, time for fun, and adequate sleep. Sleep is the glue that holds everything else together. So be sure to recognize it for what it is, a necessity, not a luxury. Sleep is a necessity. Listen, I can have people over in the house, visiting, chit chat, whatever. I'll do one of two things when I feel it coming. I'll sit there and go to sleep. Or if it's like towards the end of the event, the activity, I'll go upstairs in a minute, get in bed. I'll be going, yeah, I'll be back. My wife will say, he ain't coming back. My kids will say, he ain't coming back. They know. I'm going to sleep. They used to call me Mr. 8 Hours at my job. I get my sleep. I ain't got no problem whatsoever getting into bed 7, 8 o'clock at night. I ain't got nothing better to do but take care of myself. I'll get into bed. Yeah, I'll get into bed. It's a necessity. It's not a luxury. I don't allow anybody to dictate when I go to sleep. I'm going to sleep. Plain and simple. This is what 65 looks like when you go to sleep. Got bags under my eyes because I've been, grinding, getting this e-commerce stuff together and building this business. But I get my sleep. Some days you have to do, a few days of grinding. Hell, when I was in my master's program, I don't know what sleep looked like. I'd wake up in the morning thinking about my thesis. Yeah. You have to saturate yourself, man, with things that are necessary. Necessary. It's not necessary for you to sit up every day, every night, and this whole routine thing. It talked about this comfort. It talked about the comfort zone. It didn't mention complacency is another aspect of that. Go to sleep, TV go off 11, 12 o'clock. You got to get up at 5 or 6. But again, the TV goes off at 11. Your brain doesn't stop working. That light inside your brain doesn't go off for about another hour, hour and a half. And because you can't go to sleep, what do? Pick up the phone, get on social media. How much longer are you up then? Because you got all this stuff going on again. You got all this stuff going on again. Right? And now you haven't gone to sleep to 2 o'clock in the morning, and you turn around, you got to get up for work at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. You still have your social media feed in your head. You still have the news that came on at 11 o'clock in your head. Now you're struggling with getting up. You have to get up, right? Because you're responsible. You go to work. But how do you feel going to work? Are you energetic? Are you enthusiastic? Or are you overwhelmed? Right? The next strategy. Look for opportunities to take action to begin making things better. It feels so much better to be doing something than it does to be doing nothing. And this thing that you're doing doesn't have to be something huge. Frankly, it will feel a whole lot less overwhelming if it's not a small thing, right? But by carrying through with some sort of positive action, however small, you'll be engaging the rational, logical part of your brain. That, in turn, will help to put the brakes on what might otherwise escalate into paralyzing feelings of anxiety and sadness. Feeling powerless fuels anxiety. Taking action helps to bring that anxiety level down. So I just told you, well, not just I told you early on in the show, that I reduced My circle down to a handful of people, not even five. Yes, I have associates. I have associates, many associates. But because somebody is your associate doesn't mean that they're your friend. Doesn't mean that they have to be in your circle of living. They don't have to be. You put them in there. You understand? Feeling powerless fuels anxiety. Taking action helps to bring that anxiety level down. So I have a lot of different conversations with people. And I told you I worked with the offender population for 30 years, community corrections, in the prisons. In Florida, I've been in the prisons for 5 years, in the prisons, not one prison. I've been in 7 different prisons because that was my duty to be in these prisons. Oversight of the programs, disciplinary stuff, helping people get through things and removing people who didn't belong. But I can tell you, man, that when I ask the question of what are you doing or what have you done, other than complain, do you mentor anybody? You don't need a damn mentoring program. Mentoring program is just another part of somebody else's narrative. Why do I need to have some? Why do I need to become part of an organization that provides mentoring? Well, that's my damn duty anyway. Do you read scripture? That's your duty anyway. So here you have all these people who complain. We don't have this. We don't do this. We don't do that. But you see all these things, but you are not taking just one person. Gravitate towards one person who seems to be gravitating towards you to take them under your wing, and teach them. Beyond, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. Ask the question why. So why do you smoke so much weed, man? How does that tie into where it is you're trying to go in life? How does that tie into your personal goals? What kind of music do you listen to? Again, there should be a mix. There should be a mix of music. When I came up, we only had about two black radio stations. WDAS AM and WDAS FM came along later. We came up listening to all music. I listen to all genres of music. All genres. I listen to heavy metal, rock and roll, rock, acid rock. We came up like that in the 70s, 80s. We came up with that. I listen to all types of music. I listen to all different platforms. I listen to the right and I listen to the left. Just because they identify themselves as the right doesn't mean that they're right. You got a left hand too. So you don't go through life with one hand, right? But I listen to everybody. You can't have forward progress if you don't have an understanding of the other side or the other sides. I have an associate who is an admitted white nationalist. We have great conversation. He doesn't hate black people, brown people, yellow people, not at all. We have good, healthy conversations. Never had an argument, never turned into a debate, both listening. But if you watch social media will tell you, nah, you shouldn't even be talking to them people. They don't like you. They don't want you around. Nah, that's not what it is. When we raise our fists and say black power, what's the difference? What's the difference? Why is one wrong and the other's not? When we have a white person stand up and say, blacks were better off when they were segregated, that's not racist. I told you about the newspaper that was established in 1827. How long after the slaves were freed did they begin to build? 1827, the first black owned and operated newspaper. And we still Don't have a damn thing. We keep referencing Martin, Malcolm, and a whole host of others. But we haven't built on that information as black people. We still haven't built off of that information. We're more learned. We're more scholar. And we still haven't done anything. Nothing. You don't do anything in your community. You got a whip that you drive up and down the street, bang and let everybody know I'm here. How many times have you taken one of the senior citizens, a couple of the senior citizens, and said, listen, I know you get your check the first 2 months. Listen, I'll make sure you get there, get your shopping done, and whatever else you need to do and get you back home safely. How many times have you shut shit down on your block? So, yo, ho, ho, ho. We got kids running up and down this block. We got seniors on our block. Y'all can't be doing all that. Even if you're a part of it, it shouldn't be happening on your block. Your kids can't even play. But let something happen to one of your kids, now you want to go gorilla on people, like you're the only one who can do that. I used to tell them all the time, don't let the tire fool you. I just don't rely upon that person. He ain't went nowhere. I just don't rely upon that old way of doing, an old way of thinking. You feel me? So if you're not doing anything, how the hell can you complain? How can you complain? You got the same politicians that been, you got people who've been in office term after term after term after term. And each term you see them in office, you don't see any change happening in your community. You don't see an increased access to anything in your community. Oh, they'll give you paint. They'll give you trees to plant out in front of your house. They've taken all the grass out of communities. Why? Oh, they ain't gonna do it but tear it up. They ain't gonna take care of it. I grew up in a project in South Philly, Wilson Park. We had those bars all the way around. The area was grass in the middle. We go out there and play ball, play all kind of games in the grass. We used to walk around the pole, see, have contests, see who could walk around the pole. Many years later, and I've been through Wilson Park, most of the grass is gone. They're concrete jungles. Think about it for a minute. What contribution to good health does concrete give you? None. They don't tell you about when that stuff gets hot, when the blacktop gets hot, when the concrete gets hot, when the bricks get hot. What is emitting from them? I'll tell you none of that. But that same politician has been in office for years, and you let them dig that up? You let them take that up without a fight? Will a white cop come along and lock up a black boy, and you want to get all up in arms and protest about that? What was he doing in the street? Stop acting like we don't do shit wrong. Because the truth is going to come out. You watch them. You got parents who watch their children involved in all the wrong things. Why are all the community centers shut down? Why do we have basketball courts with no rims, no backboards? I live in a gated community. We went out there with the child today. I'm sitting there, what happened to the basketball court? They got one board up, no rim. On the other end, the board is gone. You live in a gated community that's like 89% black. They have children. We like to play ball. You just had an HOA meeting. Why does it still look like that? That's what you should be addressing. Why are our community centers no longer flooded with people? People who will go in there and volunteer to do all kinds of things, 12-step meetings, arts and crafts, all that kind of stuff used to happen in our communities. We didn't have a boxing ring in our community center. But damn it, if we didn't go in there and we settle a whole lot of our conflicts with some gloves and some adults who wanted to supervise what we were doing, and we go in there and rock and roll. We don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore. How come nobody came up with money for Fraser's Gym that got closed down and eventually turned into some kind of discount surplus store? How the hell did that happen? We let it happen. We let it happen. We've allowed everything to be taken away out of our communities that we need for health, physical activity. Oh yeah, when you go out there and next thing you know they shooting. Why isn't law enforcement out there patrolling that? Why are we raising hell about that? Oh, we don't want the police around. They ain't gonna lock us up. Why would they be locking you up? Harassing you? You're sitting out there smoking weed, drinking, you got kids out here. Why are we allowing that? Why are we allowing politicians to constantly be in office and ain't doing a damn thing about it? So stop complaining. It just says in here to do one small positive thing. That's that thing that'll keep you focused. But you sit back and you fall prey to this social media. And that's all you feed yourself. Then you feed it to somebody else. You regurgitate what somebody else said. You made it truth. You made it a truth. It's a lie. If you weren't there firsthand to see it happen, you don't know the facts. But you run with it. How does that benefit you? How does that help you move towards your goals? Oh, how am I going to go anywhere? You know, they this and they that. Who? They who? Ain't nobody ever stood my way but me. I dropped out of school months before I could have graduated from high school. Yeah. I spent my life in the street from 1978 to 1994. I did that. Nobody else did that. The government didn't do that. The white man didn't do that. Always blame, always pointing fingers in the wrong damn direction. What have I been doing? I've been to many tables in Philly. I've been part of many initiatives in Philly. I've sat at many tables trying to bring resolve to some of the unresolved in the communities. It wasn't just in mine. It was in anybody's who needed it. I've been doing this show since 2007. That's my ministry. No religion. I even stopped practicing religion. I practice the spiritual principles and values of living. And scripture is direction, is guidance. I just looked at looked in the back of my Quran and I found my Shahada. 1996, I took my Shahada as a Muslim. About 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I made a decision that religion just wasn't for me. All that dogma and all the other shenanigans that go along with it. I still read. My wife has Bible study. My wife has the morning prayer. She does church. On virtually because she can't go like she used to. But I would go with her to the church. I had no qualms about that. I have an understanding that it's all the same. It's guidance. And I continue to feed myself that information and learn, not based on the dogma of what somebody else is saying, from what I read myself and what I experience as a human being. But what contribution are you making to yourself first and foremost? Because the scripture tells you what? You save yourself first. Then you go back and save your family. Then you start addressing issues within your community. But a lot of y'all ain't even start addressing yourself first. Every day should be a different day, should be a better day. You should make another improvement in your life. Even if you start with just closing your circle down. When you shut down your circle, you see a whole lot of that stress and that tension go away. Because now you got to do something else. Now you've got to focus on something positive. Right? What's up, Termini? Ahmed, what's happening, Ahmed? Leah Pink Toy Kioi. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I tried to get some of these tags y'all got, but it's a matter of stop complaining if you're not doing anything to become a better person first. You have to become a better person first. And if you already think you are the better person, that's where the problem begins. And that's where you need to start looking. Why do you think you're better than anybody else? You can be better off, but better than? I see people put tags like, blessed and highly favored. Really? I'm blessed, but I ain't saying I'm highly favored. I'm still a work in progress, right? I still do my best to serve. See, it's one thing to say that you believe in God, but it's another thing to say, I obey. I obey. Oh, listen, I ain't no holy roller. Ain't nothing perfect about me. But when I get the blessing to wake up in the morning, I'm trying to do right by God. I'm trying to be good to myself so I can be good to other people, so I can be good for other people, so people can gravitate toward me and be enlightened by my presence, my spirit. What contribution are you making? Helping yourself helps others. You're always an example for somebody, no matter what it is, right, wrong, or indifferent. You are always making some kind of contribution to somebody's existence. Uh, the next strategy, allow yourself to feel all the feeling. Allow painful emotions to flow through you as opposed to trying to avoid them. A strategy that can leave you running from all of your emotions, including the positive ones. And that can leave you feeling emotionally flat. At the same time, you'll want to resist the temptation to ruminate on just how bad you're feeling. This simply ties up emotional and cognitive resources that might otherwise be used to solve problems or connect with people. Yeah. You ever know somebody that, like, as long as you've known them, all they have ever done is complain? Everything is wrong with their life. They seem to always be in the middle of somebody else's insanity. They're always dragging around other people's stuff, but they don't know how to live themselves. They don't know how to live themselves, right? User 925, what's going on? You understand what I'm saying? It's always something wrong. I forgot the name of the cartoon, but the character was, it'll never work. It'll never work. And no matter what it was, his buddy was always trying to do good, right? Always trying to solve a problem. And he was always like, it'll never work. You have people like that too. You have people who don't seek to change, man. You have people who don't seek to change. I'm on my fifth marriage. Can't bash anybody else. Ain't going to bash anybody else. The relationships are good. We good. We cool. Right? And my brother asked me one time, he said, bro, how is it y'all get divorced and y'all still like okay with it? Like, you see each other, hey, what's going on? You have a little conversation, whatever. He said, I hate my wife. I hated her. Like, I said, bro, that was a choice. Because you don't want to take a look at you. Because you had a role in that too. Sometimes it's just two good people in a situation that doesn't work. It won't work. You can't make it work. You can't make it work. You can't love away their difficulties. You can't sex away their difficulties. You can't gift away their difficulties. There's nothing you can do when a person wants to be in the place that they are. Leave them where they are. My job is not to heal my wife. That's not my job. My job is not to counsel my wife. It's your responsibility to become a better person so you can become and be a better partner. That's what your role is. I'm not going to keep arguing with you and debating back and forth with you about things, that you need to change about your life, that you need to remove from your life. That's your job. If you fail to do it, then you lose what's good for you. And that's in essence what this is saying. You put that into your life. You made a decision to do that. You made a decision to keep trying to help somebody that ain't ready to be helped. They don't want to be helped. They were fine before you. And I had to come to understand that. So I had to walk away from some marriages because of that. Didn't make them a bad person. Sure, stuff happened in the course of it. But when you see that you're arguing about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? It's on you. You chose to stay. You chose to try to make that situation work that wasn't going to work in the beginning. You saw the red flags, but you wanted what you wanted. But you didn't see it all because you didn't want to see it all. You turned a blind eye to it. But then when it kept happening over and over and over again, right? That blind eye now had vision. And you began to see what it is that you chose to accept, but still you won't accept them. You won't accept them. You can't blame anybody else. Oh, there ain't no good men out there, ain't no good women out there, everybody teach. No, that's not true. You have to be a good person first. You have to take a look at you and see what's happening from you that's causing people to want to get away from you. You have to find the balance. I had to learn to stop being a caretaker. I had to learn how to stop taking things on the chin. I had to start opening my mouth. And when I started opening my mouth, see, you didn't expect to clap back. So you kept pushing the envelope and kept pushing the envelope. Then when I clapped back, now you the victim. But you didn't take a look at all the things I kept telling you that you were doing that was causing a rift between us in our relationship. I'm not talking about you put the toilet paper on the roll forward and I put it on backwards kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. That's small stuff. Either you accept it or you don't. You want to keep going in there flipping it over, keep going in there flipping it over. But don't keep going flipping on me because you got an issue with that. I'm talking about understanding what your role is in a relationship, and you have to bring that role. You have to bring that role. You have to bring it. Love ain't got nothing to do with none of this. I don't want love. I want respect. First and foremost. I want loyalty. I don't want love. Get love any damn way. Go buy a puppy. I want a partner. That's what I want. I want somebody who's going to address their own issues and stop trying to point out mine and make me the bad guy. Because you were so used to me being accommodating. You have to allow yourself to go through all these feelings. And you have to put an end to those things that are making you feel the way you do. That's your job. It ain't mine. So if you're looking for somebody to take something away from you that you have willfully chosen to hold on to, you have to take a look at that. And ask yourself, why do you keep doing that? It has nothing to do with, I keep getting all the wrong people. No, it just didn't work out. I did my part. I played my role. I understood that I was a caretaker and that I needed to find balance. But I also came to understand that I'm no longer going to let things just go and go and go and go and go. I'm no longer going to continue to be debating back and forth for something that you see as a detriment to the existence of our relationship, and you still want to keep facing this thing because you don't want to avoid it. And that's what it talked about here. You ultimately stop avoiding even the good things in life. Yeah. You start avoiding on your own the good things that come to you because you have been so overwhelmed and riddled with these bad things. But then you take to social media and you talk about these things about other people, But how many times do you actually talk about you? How many times do you talk about the things that you do, what you bring to the table? See, if the only thing you can bring to the table is a penis and a vagina, that relationship ain't going to be lasting at all. Because those things can be found any and everywhere at any time. Is that love? You settled for that. You settled for that. The last one on here, because we're at the hour, is hold on to your sense of optimism. Refuse to allow anyone to take away your faith in the possibility that things could get better. Not perfect, but better, right? You'll find it easier to make this mental shift if you make a conscious effort to boost your level of positive emotion by doing things you enjoy and spending time with people you love. There's that word again, right? Positive emotions leave the door open to possibility and change, while negative emotions slam that door shut. You want to do whatever you can to leave that door open right now. It's up to you. The days of blaming somebody else for your condition are over. You just can't continue to uh you can't continue. You're doing it to yourself. I didn't have to get married a fifth time. I know the significance of having a partner. I'm fine with being alone. I'm fine with eating by myself. I'm fine with going to the restaurant, going to the movie, going to plays and things like that by myself. I'm fine with that. Has nothing to do with being lonely. Part of my creation is to have a partner. And if God saw fit for me to have a partner, why shouldn't I be seeking to have a partner? So y'all looking for the wrong partners. You're looking for somebody to do and be the way you want them to be and do. And that's what makes you happy. My job is not to make you happy. That's where you're confused. My wife's job is not to make me happy. I should be happy within. But if I've let negativity consume me, everything good that comes to me, I will have no appreciation for because I won't see it. I won't see the goodness because I'm too clouded with my unresolved. Shit happens. Come on. It happens. You ain't gonna stop it from happening. It's gonna always happen. No matter where you go, you're gonna find good and bad. Why are you so consumed with the bad? Why? That's something you choose to do. I'm not letting anybody take that away from me. Period. So I keep looking and I keep searching. I think I found the one. But most importantly, I'm prepared for the one. I'm better prepared for the one. For the few years that I spent healing, not looking for healing from somebody else, me and God. You understand what I'm saying? Feel better about you, not through somebody else. It doesn't happen that way. I don't look for anything from anybody. Bring it. Show it. Don't talk about it. If it's real, I'll know. And just because it's real doesn't mean it's going to stay real. Because you always get the representative. At some point in time, the representative leaves. But if you're paying attention, you'll see through the representative. Yeah. Hey, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. This is your man, Sabir Aline. Listen, if you missed the beginning of the show, make sure. Hey, Marie, what's going on, Sean? Go Eagles. Make sure you go check out my Sabir Aline educational station. I didn't ask you to agree with anything. You want to change? Some information there to help. give you a better look, a different lens. This is another beat that you're going to find with some lyrics on my new album coming out in November. The name of that album, Man, Man in a God's World. No, wait a minute. What's the title of it? Damn, I forgot. Listen, I've been talking so much. Gods in a Man's World. That's the name of it. Gods in a Man's World. You gotta check it out. This beat here and the lyrics to go with this, gonna raise some eyebrows, as they often do. But this one, yeah, I get a little raw in this one. Yeah, get a little raw in this one. Even use some profanity. Yeah. You know. But thank y'all for tuning in. As always, listen, you can be doing anything else on a Saturday night than listening to me, and here you are. And I so appreciate your attendance, your support, all the feedback. Hey man, this is my contribution. What's yours? This is my ministry. What's yours? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Uh-huh. So let me let you hear just a few of the lyrics. The first black-owned and operated newspaper began in 1827, providing a crucial voice for blacks in America. Nearly 200 fucking years later, no voice, no cruciality, no sense of urgency, and still lacking the ability to disseminate significant information relevant to forward progress. Most of us still don't know how government works and how to effectively tackle failed systems beyond protests, marches, and repeatedly electing incompetent politicians into office. Then go and complain on these preferred media platforms. That's not having a voice, it's oppressive. Remind me again why I should be entertained by black media outlets. Those blacks, not nearly as learned as blacks today, established a foundation of living. How many years after freedom? And you want to be offended because someone white said blacks were better off segregated? That's not racist. That's not racist. Drums, bongos, and other percussions set the tone for many events, from healing rituals, festive observances, communication between tribes, and much more. No doubt music influence and its lasting effects upon the spirit is paramount to government-imposed laws, enforced sanctions, and religion. How do you think the transition to and through hip-hop evolved into a hit a nigga, kill a nigga, knock a nigga out, and kept us on the same beat? Now, many of these artists don't know a noun from a verb and can't even speak in complete fucking sentences, mumbling their way to so-called artistry greatness and setting the poorest example to our youth. Is pulling their pants up the issue or pulling them down? All that power in the industry is still winning. Most of these artists will never change their lifestyles because it validates their lyrics. And many will never see all their money. They'll either get caught up in a RICO case or be a charge in someone else's. The streets didn't become violent overnight. People have tired of the lies from the government at every level. So-called friends, family, yeah, especially parents. We saw this shit happening and co-signed at every damn election. We allowed business to open in our communities, buying out our mom and pop stores, not collaborating on purchasing, taking money off our own tables. We allowed long-time politicians to change zoning and policies on purchasing real property in our communities, affording investors the ability to now own entire communities. Most of these politicians, especially at the local level, couldn't give two shits about bettering our community. They're just lining their pockets and waiting for their nod at a seat. The money is gone from the black community, and it's not coming back. Shabir, you have to come back. Right? So I'm not going to go into the last part because I want you to catch that one. You have to go back. You have to come back. Daddy's on line right now. Right? But that's how raw this whole album is going to be. It's not just this piece here. You understand? We have to make the change in every community. We have to stop blaming. We have to stop allowing our politicians who have the responsibility. They work for us. We don't work for them. We've allowed them to take over our communities and do as they damn well please, and most of them don't even live in these communities. We've done that. I changed my political party. I no longer consider myself to be a Democrat. I'm not fully ready to embrace the Republican side. So I chose to become an independent. It's more I need to hear, it's more I need to learn. But you're not going to make that decision for me. Well, unless you're in office. You understand? Stop complaining. Do something. Thanks for tuning in. I'll let you know when the album's going to drop. It's going to be in sometime in November. But if you haven't heard any of my music, go to your favorite music streaming platform and type in my name. We got here Nasty Boy. What's going on? Laura Guttenfeld. What's happening? Thanks for tuning in. Cisco Berg. Thanks for tuning in. The Kid Rose. Hey, daughter. But when I was listening to this beat, I said, yeah, this is perfect for this piece here. See, I do some harmonious stuff. I do some spoken word stuff, a combination of things. But if you sit down and listen, you'll get it. Now, what you're going to do about it is something entirely different. This is your man, Shabir Aleem. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I will see you next Saturday, if God sees fit to awaken me, for another episode right here on TikTok, on YouTube. Yeah, I'll be there.